Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we've got a real gem from the United States, an iconic piece of American history, the 1974 quarter dollar. Now, you might be thinking, a quarter from 1974? It's just another common coin. But trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be looking at this coin in an entirely new way. It could be worth a lot more than you think, so make sure you stick around until the end to find out just how much it's worth today. When you think of the US quarter, the first thing that comes to mind is probably George Washington's image, right? He's been gracing the front of the quarter since 1932. But the 1974 quarter dollar has a special place in the hearts of collectors due to its potential rarity and unique characteristics. To understand why, let's take a deeper dive into the history of this coin and what makes it so remarkable. The 1974 quarter was minted during an important era in American history. It was a time when the country was recovering from the turbulent 1960s and the Vietnam War. The economy was going through shifts, and coins like these were circulating widely in everyday transactions. Little did anyone know that decades later, this very quarter would become a sought-after collector's item. Now, the design on the 1974 quarter is standard. On the obverse, you have the classic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. On the reverse, there's an eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a branch, a symbol of America's strength and freedom. But beyond the design, what sets the 1974 quarter apart from its counterparts is its rarity, and it's not just about a single coin. There are specific variations that collectors look for. One key factor that makes certain 1974 quarters particularly valuable is the possibility of minting errors. Some of these coins were struck with imperfections, like doubling on the lettering or date, or they might have been struck on a planchet that was slightly off-center. These types of errors are incredibly rare and often go unnoticed, making them highly desirable to serious collectors. The error coins can fetch prices far beyond their face value, and it's these special coins that can make a collector's heart race with excitement. But it's not just mint errors that make the 1974 quarter potentially valuable. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition are another big draw for collectors. The majority of quarters from 1974, like any other coin, were in circulation for years and suffered from wear and tear. If you happen to find one in mint condition, without any scratches, discoloration, or other signs of damage, it could be a real treasure. So, what does all of this mean for the value of the 1974 quarter dollar? The value depends on several factors, including the coin's condition, any unique features, and whether or not it has been subject to minting errors. But let's cut to the chase. If you have a 1974 quarter in uncirculated condition, or even better, one with a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Here's the big reveal. You ready? If you have one of these rare 1974 quarters, especially in perfect or near perfect condition, it could be worth an astonishing $63,000. That's right, $63,000 for a single quarter. It's unbelievable, but that's the magic of coin collecting. So, if you happen to have one of these 1974 quarters stashed away in your collection, or you come across one while hunting through your change, take a close look. It might just be worth a lot more than you ever imagined. Top 2, we've got something truly special to talk about, a coin that may be sitting in your pocket or in a drawer right now, but it could be worth a fortune. We're talking about the United States 1987 quarter dollar, a coin that, while seemingly common, could fetch you a price that will make your jaw drop. Stick around until the end, and we'll reveal just how much this coin could be worth in today's market. The 1987 quarter is one that often gets overlooked by most people. After all, it's a modern coin, minted just a few decades ago. The design features the familiar image of George Washington on the obverse and the iconic eagle on the reverse. Nothing too unusual, right? Well, here's where things get interesting. What makes the 1987 quarter so appealing to collectors isn't just its age or design, but rather a combination of rarity, unique characteristics, and, of course, the potential for minting errors. Let's take a step back and consider the time in which the 1987 quarter was produced. The late 1980s were a period of economic growth in the US, but also a time when certain changes were beginning to take place in coin production. The US Mint was constantly working to improve its processes, which resulted in occasional variations in how certain coins were minted. This means that there are certain quarters from 1987 that might not look quite like the others, whether that's through a minting error or slight differences in the strike. So, why are some of these 1987 quarters so valuable? It all boils down to condition and scarcity. In the world of coin collecting, the term uncirculated is used to describe coins that were never used in everyday transactions and are in pristine condition. A quarter in uncirculated condition from 1987, without any wear, scratches, or discoloration, is far rarer than you might think. Over the years, many 1987 quarters circulated widely and quickly became worn down from handling, making high-grade examples incredibly scarce. But what really sets some of these quarters apart are the rare minting errors that have been discovered over the years. Some of the 1987 quarters were struck with mistakes that make them unique and highly valuable to collectors. This could include things like double strikes, where the coin was struck twice, resulting in a blurry or overlapping design. Other errors might include off-center strikes or even coins that were struck on incorrect planchets, leading to a coin with unusual characteristics that catch the eye of serious numismatists. If you find yourself lucky enough to come across a 1987 quarter with one of these errors, you could be holding something truly special. Error coins are particularly prized by collectors because they are one-of-a-kind pieces, often rare and impossible to replicate. Coins like these often sell for far more than their face value, sometimes fetching prices that are beyond what you might expect from a coin that's not even 40 years old. Now, let's get down to the big reveal. What's the value of a 1987 quarter, especially if it's in excellent condition or has one of those rare minting errors? Well, if you have an uncirculated 1987 quarter, or better yet, one with a minting error, it could be worth a surprising $53,000, that's right, $53,000 for a single quarter. It might sound too good to be true, but it's the reality for those lucky enough to find one of these rare coins. So, the next time you come across a 1987 quarter, take a moment to inspect it carefully. You never know, you might be holding onto something that's worth far more than you ever imagined. Top 3, we have a truly exciting topic. An incredible coin that could be sitting in your collection right now, or even hiding in your spare change jar. That's right, we're talking about the United States $quarter from 1970. While this might seem like just another ordinary coin, it has the potential to make you a serious amount of money. Stick around to the end, because we'll be revealing just how much this coin could be worth. The 1970 quarter is often overlooked by many people, simply because it's part of a time when coins were mass-produced and widely circulated. But don't let its appearance fool you. The 1970 quarter is actually a sought-after piece in the world of numismatics, especially when you understand the rare circumstances behind its minting. So, let's dive into the details and find out why this seemingly ordinary coin could be a hidden treasure. In terms of design, the 1970 quarter follows the same classic look we've seen on quarters for decades. George Washington's portrait is featured on the obverse, and on the reverse, we have the traditional eagle with outstretched wings. Simple and elegant, right? But when it comes to coin collecting, it's often the stories and quirks behind these coins that make them so valuable. The key factor in the 1970 quarter's appeal lies in its rarity, particularly the fact that only a limited number of these coins were made with specific characteristics. You see, the US Mint in 1970 produced quarters in two different ways. Most were struck in the usual copper-nickel alloy, but a smaller quantity was struck using 40% silver. This was part of the minting process as the US government prepared to transition from silver to copper in coin production, which is why the silver version of the 1970 quarter is so much rarer than the standard one. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Over the years, many of the 1970 silver quarters have been melted down or have gone out of circulation. That means finding one today, especially in good condition, is quite a rare occurrence. And while these silver quarters are already more valuable than their copper-nickel counterparts, it's the ones in near-perfect or uncirculated condition that really catch the eyes of collectors. Coins that have been well preserved or carefully stored are highly coveted by numismatists, and the 1970 silver quarters are no exception. A quarter that has been shielded from the wear and tear of everyday transactions can easily be worth much more than its face value. In fact, some collectors actively seek out 1970 quarters that show little to no signs of circulation, which adds to their worth, but it's not just the silver quarters that can make you a fortune. Some 1970 quarters, even in copper-nickel, have been found with minting errors that make them even more valuable. Minting errors, such as double strikes, misaligned designs, or even off-center coins, can transform an ordinary quarter into a one-of-a-kind collector's item. These errors are highly sought after because they make each coin unique, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for these rare pieces. So, what does this mean for the value of the 1970 quarter? Well, if you happen to have one of these silver quarters from 1970 in pristine condition, or if you find one with a rare minting error, the price could be incredible. In fact, some of these coins have sold for upwards of $66,000, yes, you heard that right, $66,000 for a single 1970 quarter. It's amazing to think that a coin that's not even 55 years old could hold such significant value. So, next time you come across a 1970 quarter, take a moment to examine it carefully. It could be more than just pocket change. Top 4, we've got something really exciting to share with you, a coin that might be sitting in your pocket right now, or perhaps tucked away in your collection, that could be worth a small fortune. We're talking about the 1984 United States quarter dollar. While this might seem like a regular, everyday coin, it has a fascinating history and a potential value that could surprise you. Stick around until the end, and we'll reveal exactly how much this quarter could be worth today. Let's first take a look at the 1984 quarter itself. It features the classic design we all know and love, George Washington's profile on the obverse side, and on the reverse, the American eagle in flight. This design has been used on U.S. quarters for decades, so at first glance, it's easy to overlook this coin. But here's the thing, this particular quarter, minted in 1984, has some interesting characteristics that set it apart from the rest. Now, the 1984 quarter may not have been produced during a particularly tumultuous time in U.S. history, but it was still part of a period when the U.S. Mint was refining its processes and techniques. While most of these coins were circulated widely, there's a small group of 1984 quarters that have become very valuable to collectors. So, what makes them so special? First off, the 1984 quarter has become a sought-after coin because of its relative rarity. Coins that were produced during this time were mostly used in everyday transactions, meaning most of them have worn down over the years from constant handling. But here's where things get interesting. Certain 1984 quarters, especially those in pristine condition, are much rarer than you might think. As time goes on, finding one of these coins in uncirculated or near-perfect condition becomes more and more challenging, but the value of this coin doesn't just come from its age or condition. There's another factor that collectors pay close attention to: minting errors. A small number of 1,984 quarters were struck with mistakes, such as double strikes, misaligned designs, or even unusual metal compositions. These errors create unique variations of the coin that make them highly desirable to numismatists. A minting error can turn a seemingly common coin into something incredibly valuable, and some of these error coins can fetch prices that leave collectors astounded. For example, imagine stumbling across a 1984 quarter with a double strike, or maybe a slight misalignment in the design. These small imperfections can make a world of difference in the world of coin collecting. A coin that might have otherwise been valued at face value can become a rare treasure if it contains a minting error that collectors are willing to pay a premium for. So, what's the bottom line when it comes to the value of the 1984 quarter? Well, if you happen to have a quarter from 1984 in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if you're lucky enough to find one with a rare minting error, you could be holding on to something very valuable. The value of a 1984 quarter with a unique feature or in top condition could be worth a staggering $56,000, yes, you heard that right, $56,000 for a single 1984 quarter. It's unbelievable to think that a coin from the mid-80s, which was once just a part of everyday currency, could now be worth so much. So, the next time you go through your change or dig into your coin collection, take a closer look at those 1984 quarters. You could be sitting on a potential fortune without even realizing it. Top 5, we have an exciting discovery to share with you. You might just have a hidden treasure on your hands, sitting quietly in your collection or tucked away in a jar of change. We're talking about the 1983 United States quarter dollar, a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but could actually be worth a small fortune. Stick with us until the end, because we're about to reveal just how much this seemingly everyday coin could be worth in today's market. At first glance, the 1983 quarter might not stand out much. It features the familiar design of George Washington on the obverse, and the classic eagle on the reverse. It's the kind of coin you might come across every day without thinking twice. But here's the thing, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. For those who dig deeper into the world of numismatics, the 1983 quarter offers more than just historical value. In 1983, the United States was in the midst of a significant period of coinage production, and although this was a standard year for quarter production, not all coins minted that year are created equal. Some of the 1983 quarters have unique features that make them particularly desirable to collectors. The key to understanding their value lies in rarity, condition, and even some possible minting errors that may have occurred during production. The majority of 1983 quarters were minted in the usual copper-nickel blend, which means that most of the coins produced that year aren't as valuable on their own. However, as with many coins in the world of numismatics, it's the ones that were either in pristine condition or had minting mistakes that really stand out. If you happen to find a 1983 quarter in uncirculated or near-perfect condition, you've already got a much more valuable coin than the ones you might see circulating in your local stores. But what really takes the value of these coins to the next level are the minting errors. Over the years, some 1983 quarters have been found with unique imperfections, like double strikes, misaligned designs, or even off-center impressions. These types of errors are rare, and error coins are always in high demand. In fact, some collectors specifically search for coins with these kinds of imperfections, as they can be one-of-a-kind pieces that stand out in any collection. So, what makes the 1983 quarter worth so much? Well, it's the rarity of those coins that remain in pristine condition, coupled with the minting errors that add an extra layer of uniqueness. Coins that have these characteristics are far more valuable than the average 1983 quarter you might come across in circulation. Some of these rare 1983 quarters with minting errors or in mint condition have been sold for jaw-dropping amounts, making them one of the more exciting finds in the coin collecting world. And now for the big reveal: if you have a 1983 quarter that's in excellent, uncirculated condition, or perhaps one with a rare minting error, you could be holding on to something worth an incredible $58,000, that's right, $58,000 for a single 1983 quarter. It's amazing to think that a coin you may have brushed off as just another part of your change could hold so much potential. So, take a moment to dig through your old coins, or maybe go through your spare change. If you find a 1983 quarter with no wear and tear or a unique minting mistake, you might just have a small fortune on your hands. Top 6, we have an exciting topic that might just change the way you look at your pocket change. We're diving into the 1994 United States quarter dollar, a coin that might seem ordinary at first, but don't be fooled. This seemingly simple quarter has the potential to be worth a small fortune. Stick with us till the end of this video, and we'll reveal just how much it could be worth. The 1994 quarter is a coin that's often overlooked in the world of coin collecting. After all, it's just another piece of currency from the 1990s, right? Well, as it turns out, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. While many people may not think twice about a 1994 quarter, it's become one of the more sought-after pieces for collectors in recent years. You may be wondering, what makes the 1994 quarter so special? It's all about the rarity and condition of the coin. The vast majority of 1994 quarters were minted and put into circulation without much fanfare. But just like with any other coin, there's a small percentage that stands out due to either minting errors or pristine preservation. And these rare examples are the ones that can fetch astonishing prices at auction or in the hands of dedicated collectors. When it comes to minting, most of the 1994 quarters were struck in the usual copper-nickel blend. While these coins are plentiful, they don't carry the same value as some of the rarer versions, especially those in uncirculated condition. Coins that have been stored away carefully and haven't been used in day-to-day transactions are often more valuable because they haven't suffered from the wear and tear that comes with circulation. A 1994 quarter that looks as if it just came off the minting press can be a collector's dream, but here's where things get even more interesting. There's another factor that makes the 1994 quarter stand out: minting errors. These mistakes are much rarer, and they can turn a coin that might otherwise be worth just a few quarters into a highly coveted treasure. Minting errors could include things like misaligned designs, double strikes, or even coins that were struck on the wrong type of metal. These types of mistakes are what collectors truly hunt for, and finding one of these error coins can make all the difference in how much a coin is worth. For example, if you have a 1994 quarter with a double-struck design or an off-center strike, you could be holding on to something that is incredibly rare and valuable. Minting errors like these are highly prized by collectors, and as you might imagine, the price can soar when one of these coins makes its way to the right buyer. So, what does that mean for the value of the 1994 quarter? If you're lucky enough to find one that is in mint condition or perhaps contains a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a treasure. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. If you have a 1994 quarter with these characteristics, it could be worth an incredible $48,000, yes, you heard that right, $48,000 for a single 1994 quarter. It's hard to believe that a coin that's just a few decades old could carry such value, but that's the beauty of coin collecting. So, if you have a 1994 quarter tucked away somewhere, or you happen to come across one in your spare change, take a moment to examine it closely. You could be holding a small fortune without even realizing it. Top 7. We've got an exciting topic that might just turn your old pocket change into a hidden treasure. We're talking about the 1989 United States quarter dollar, a coin that may look like any other at first glance, but in the world of numismatics, it holds a special place. This unassuming quarter could actually be worth a surprising amount of money, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why. Now, when you think of the 1989 quarter, it might seem like just another coin from the late 20th century. It features the classic George Washington portrait on the obverse, and the American eagle on the reverse, designs that have been used for decades. It's a design we've all seen before, right? But what makes the 1989 quarter unique is the combination of its rarity, condition, and potential for minting errors. The year 1989 was an important time for U.S. coinage, as it marked the late stages of the 1980s and was part of the era when the U.S. Mint was refining its processes. During this time, many coins were produced in large quantities, and most of them circulated widely. So, what does that mean for the 1989 quarter? Well, most of these coins have already been used in everyday transactions, which means they've been worn down over time. Finding a 1989 quarter in pristine condition or with unique characteristics is actually much rarer than you might think. When we talk about pristine condition, we're referring to coins that have been carefully stored and preserved, free from scratches, discoloration, or any other signs of wear. Coins in this type of condition are highly sought after by collectors, because they are a rare find. For collectors, having a quarter from 1989 in this perfect, uncirculated state can be a true gem. Over time, these coins have become harder to find, and as demand for well-preserved examples grows, so does their value, but that's not the only reason the 1989 quarter is special. Another factor that makes this coin particularly appealing is the possibility of minting errors. If you know anything about the world of coin collecting, you'll know that minting errors can drastically increase the value of a coin. Whether it's a double strike, a misaligned design, or even a coin struck on the wrong type of metal, these errors are a big deal in the coin collecting world. A minting error can turn an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind treasure, and when it comes to the 1989 quarter, a few rare errors have been discovered over the years. For example, if you find a 1989 quarter with a double-struck image, or one with an off-center design, you could be holding a very valuable coin. Minting errors are so desirable because they are unique, and collectors are always on the lookout for these rare pieces. The more distinctive the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. Some 1989 quarters with minting errors have been known to fetch extraordinary prices, so keep an eye out when you check your spare change.so. You might be wondering, what is the value of a 1989 quarter if it's in excellent condition or has one of these rare minting errors? Well, if you've got a 1989 quarter that's been well preserved or contains an error, it could be worth an eye-popping $50,000. Yes, you heard that right, $50,000 for a single 1989 quarter. It's incredible to think that a coin from less than 40 years ago could be worth so much. But that's the beauty of coin collecting. A small piece of history can become an incredibly valuable treasure if you know what to look for. So, next time you come across a 1989 quarter, make sure to take a closer look. If it's in great condition or has a minting error, you could be holding onto a small fortune. Top 8. We're diving into a coin that might just be hiding in your spare change or tucked away in your collection without you even realizing it's worth a small fortune. We're talking about the 1986 United States quarter dollar, a coin that might seem like just another piece of currency from the 1980s, but in reality, it could be worth much more than you'd ever imagine. Stick around until the end of this video, because we're about to reveal just how much this quarter could be worth. At first glance, the 1986 quarter doesn't look all that different from other coins. It features the iconic image of George Washington on the obverse, and the familiar eagle design on the reverse. A classic look that's been part of American currency for decades. But in the world of coin collecting, even the most common coins can have incredible value depending on their condition, rarity, and any potential minting errors. And the 1986 quarter is no exception. The key to the 1986 quarter's value lies in its condition and any potential errors. Like most coins, the 1986 quarter was minted in large quantities and widely circulated. So, finding one in excellent, uncirculated condition is already pretty rare. Most of the quarters from this year have been handled, used, and worn down through the years, which means that coins in mint condition stand out in a big way to collectors. But here's where things get even more interesting. There are certain 1986 quarters that contain rare minting errors that can make them incredibly valuable. Minting errors can occur when a coin is struck incorrectly, leading to unique characteristics like misalignments, double strikes, or even coins that were struck on the wrong type of metal. These errors are highly sought after by collectors because they make the coin one of a kind. So, if you happen to come across a 1986 quarter with a mistake in its design, you could be sitting on something worth a lot more than face value. For example, imagine finding a 1986 quarter with a double-struck image or an off-center strike. These minting errors are rare, and they can turn an ordinary quarter into a rare collectible that commands a high price at auction. Collectors love these error coins because they are unique, and having a piece like that in your collection is a major win. So, what does this mean for the value of the 1986 quarter? Well, if you happen to find one in mint condition or with a rare minting error, you could be holding onto a very valuable coin. And now for the exciting part. If you find a 1986 quarter with these rare features, it could be worth an incredible $51,000. That's right, $51,000 for a single 1986 quarter. It's amazing to think that a coin from the 1980s, which doesn't seem all that old, could hold such a significant value. But that's the world of coin collecting. What seems ordinary at first glance could turn out to be worth a small fortune. So, next time you come across a 1986 quarter, don't just pass it by. Take a moment to examine it closely. If it's in excellent condition or has a minting error, you could be holding a true hidden gem. Top 9, we've got an incredible coin to talk about that could just be sitting in your collection or tucked away in your spare change right now. The 1967 United States quarter dollar is a coin that might seem like just another piece of mid-20th century currency, but it holds a surprising secret. This quarter could be worth far more than you would ever expect. Stick around because we're about to uncover just how much this coin might be worth and why it's gaining attention in the numismatic world. At first glance, the 1967 quarter might look like an ordinary coin. It features the classic image of George Washington on the front, and on the back, you'll find the proud American eagle, a symbol of freedom and strength. It's a design that's been part of U.S. currency for decades, so you might not give it a second thought. But there's more to the 1967 quarter than meets the eye. The 1960s were a time of major transition in U.S. coinage, and by 1967, the country had started experimenting with different metals in coin production. As a result, this particular year stands out because a small percentage of these quarters were made with a unique composition, a combination of 40% silver. This silver content wasn't common in later years of quarter production, making these 1967 quarters a significant find for collectors and investors alike. But what makes the 1967 quarter even more interesting is that it was struck during a period of uncertainty in U.S. coinage. While most quarters were being produced with copper-nickel alloys, a handful of these coins were produced with that distinct 40% silver, making them rare and highly valuable. Not every 1967 quarter has silver in it, which is why it's important to check closely. If you have a 1967 quarter that contains that 40% silver, you've got a valuable coin on your hands, but the value doesn't just come from the composition of the coin. Some 1967 quarters have been discovered to have unique characteristics, including minting errors. These errors can include double strikes, off-center impressions, or even coins with inconsistent designs. These types of mistakes are rare and add a layer of value that can make a simple coin worth thousands of dollars more. Error coins are highly prized by collectors, and they can drastically increase the value of a seemingly common coin. Now, the moment you've been waiting for: what is a 1967 quarter worth if it's in great condition or has one of these rare errors? If you have one of these quarters that has been well preserved or contains a minting error, the value can skyrocket. Some of these 1967 quarters have been sold for unbelievable prices at auctions, and the value can reach up to an astounding $72,000. Yes, you heard that right, $72,000 for a single 1967 quarter. It's incredible to think that a coin that's just a few decades old can be worth so much, but that's the fascinating world of coin collecting. Coins that might seem ordinary can become rare treasures when you know what to look for. So, the next time you come across a 1967 quarter, take a closer look. If it's made of silver or has a minting error, you could be holding onto something worth a small fortune. Top 10, and last unique coin, we're about to uncover an exciting coin that could be hiding in your collection or sitting unnoticed in your spare change. We're talking about the 1995 United States quarter dollar, an unassuming coin that could be worth far more than you might think. Stick with us through this video, and by the end, you'll know exactly why this quarter is a potential goldmine for collectors. Now, at first glance, the 1995 quarter doesn't look all that different from any other quarter. It has the familiar design featuring George Washington's portrait on the obverse and the majestic American eagle on the reverse. It's a design we've all seen many times, and it's easy to overlook a coin like this in the vast world of American currency. But the 1995 quarter has a few interesting qualities that make it stand out, especially in the eyes of collectors. To start, 1995 marked an important time for U.S. coinage. The country was still producing quarters in the traditional copper-nickel alloy, and like most years, the 1995 quarter was minted in large numbers. In fact, millions of these quarters were made, meaning that you're not likely to find one in circulation with extreme rarity, at least, not at first glance. However, it's the condition and specific characteristics of a 1995 quarter that can make it a valuable piece. As with any coin, condition is key. The majority of 1995 quarters were used in daily transactions, and over time, many of these coins became worn, damaged, or tarnished. But finding a 1995 quarter in pristine or near-perfect condition is a rare and valuable treasure. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have been well preserved, as these coins are much more desirable. An uncirculated or mint-condition 1995 quarter can fetch far more than its face value, especially as time goes on and more coins from that era wear out or become lost. But that's not the only thing that makes the 1995 quarter special. Over the years, certain 1995 quarters have been discovered to have minting errors, small mistakes made during the production process that can dramatically increase the value of a coin. These errors can include things like double strikes, off-center designs, or even coins with misaligned images. These kinds of flaws may seem like imperfections, but in the world of coin collecting, they are incredibly desirable and can make a coin far more valuable. For example, if you happen to find a 1995 quarter with an off-center strike or a misaligned image, you could be holding onto a one-of-a-kind error coin. Error coins are highly prized by collectors, and the rarer the mistake, the higher the value. Some 1995 quarters with these types of minting flaws have sold for significant amounts of money, making this coin a serious contender for those looking to build a valuable collection. So, what's the potential value of a 1995 quarter if it's in pristine condition or has one of these rare minting errors? Well, the value can range significantly depending on the coin's state, but if you happen to have a particularly rare example, you could be looking at a coin worth an astonishing $43,000, yes, you heard that right, $43,000 for a single 1995 quarter. It's amazing to think that something as ordinary as a quarter, which most people would overlook, could be worth so much money. But that's the magic of coin collecting. It's all about finding the hidden gems in what seems like everyday objects, and with the right eye and knowledge, you could uncover a fortune. So, the next time you come across a 1995 quarter, don't just dismiss it. Take a closer look. If it's in excellent condition or has a minting error, you could be holding onto a valuable piece of American history. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future discoveries. Thanks for watching, and happy coin hunting.